Hello everyone. Welcome back and thank you for joining me once again for the horrors of XBLIG. And we're back with Decay, part 3 out of 4. If we remember what happened last time, we paid a visit to Martin Wallace's place of employment, where we found out that perhaps we're not actually Martin Wallace at all. And then we fell into some more black water, and who knows what happened to us at that point. I guess the only way to find out is to continue on with Decay Part 3. Decay Part 3 begins a little differently than Parts 1 and 2. There's no tutorial yet and no cursor on the screen. All that we see is the pool of black water that I assume that we pulled ourselves out of after Part 2. Once again, we're in a new place. But this looks familiar. This looks like the apartment building we were in Part 1, when we woke up in Martin Wallace's bathroom, hanging by our neck, apparently having attempted to kill ourselves, but having failed in the attempt. For a minute, the world was not so dark and grimy after all. However, that did not last very long, and we once again met the white spirit, or whatever you want to call it, an entity, that says he is indeed Martin Wallace. The doll was a gift for his granddaughter. We'll skip the tutorial for right now. We saw in the first part of Decay that his granddaughter Lacey, along with his daughter, and his son-in-law were killed in an auto accident. So Martin never got to give her this doll. Yeah, everything looks so dark and dirty once again. But hey, cartoons. No, even cartoons are denied us. And here's where everything started, where we woke up hanging from our neck. The rope's still here, though really nothing else seems to be of interest to us. Not even our teleporting bathtub. So it's a fun ride every time. You never know where you're going to end up. So now that we're back, we probably should take a look around our apartment complex, see if maybe any of the neighbors are about. There weren't the first time. Well, this apartment is still right side up. didn't go upside down again like last time. However, we were not able to actually go into this door the first time we were here. Nothing of interest to us, I suppose, as we look around the apartment. Except this door. You know, I think the tenants of this building have a serious grievance to file with the landlord. I mean, when it comes to the plumbing, it's either black water or blood. I mean, at least the black water, you get to use it for transportation. That's a bit morbid. Just pick that up. I mean, maybe we're making the assumption that we'll have use of it later. I don't know if I would touch it. Someone seems to be having a real problem in there. Probably should help. I mean, it is our neighbor after all. Let's say we'll just leave them to their, we'll just leave them right there. I mean, it's rude to intrude on someone in the bathroom anyway. That's our own apartment. Oh. This wasn't here last time. That door belongs to Oswald White, which, if you remember, was the ghost that challenged us to tic-tac-toe. Apparently, he doesn't want to play us another game of tic-tac-toe because he's put these bars here. We also found that Oswald White might be a murderer. Still nothing here. Still no escape, no way out for us. This closet that we unlocked back in the first game is still unlocked, though. But it's had to change. Yeah, there was no light at all last time. Martin Wallace does not feel confident about making this jump down to the lower floor, and even if he could, it doesn't seem like there would be a way back up. We could think of a place where we saw a rope maybe we could use. And we did find something that we could use to cut it. Though honestly, I don't think we realized we would be able to use it for that at the time we picked it up. Well, I mean, we know that the rope can... We know it's strong enough to hold our weight, so let's just use it to... Yes. Alright, we were not able to get down to any other floor last time we were here, so this is all new territory. And this is a much nicer apartment than Martin's. Don't know who lives here. Even has its own fireplace. How... Do you ever see that? An apartment with a fireplace? I don't think I've seen that. It doesn't seem like it would make sense, really. But let's not let's not make any determinations about the realism of the world of Decay. You never know what's going to happen next. So it looks like someone probably wrote something on a paper on top of this. We can see it says something about code, and that's probably a number 4, and what might be a 7 next to it. That seems like that's all we can make out. And over here is a nice game of Labyrinth. Do you ever play Labyrinth? I had one of these as a kid. Basically what it is a wooden box with 2 knobs on the sides, and you use the knobs to tilt the platform, moving the marble about. You're trying to get it from the start to the end without going down any of these holes. If it goes down the hole, you lose, and you start again. It was fun at the time. It was a nice little test of hand-eye coordination for a kid. Not something that's so difficult now, I think, but at the time, you're a little kid, you might find it a bit difficult to use more subtle movements as opposed to hard swings. Now, if you're really good at Labyrinth, you might want to try the jump, that hole in the middle, because you can see that you get a shortcut if you do that. I don't know if that's even possible in this video version of Labyrinth, though, if the physics exist for that. But you can do it in the real-world one. Or maybe this is the real-world one, and the one I remember is just an illusion, just a simulation. And once you're here, you're home free. The game of Labyrinth I had as a kid did not eject prizes, though. That would have been really cool if it did. That would have been pretty awesome as a little kid. Well, we know where we've seen the locked door. Only one real place that we could possibly use this right now. Martin Wallace does not seem to have too much to say about the invisible hanged man. Suicide, imagery of suicide, a common thing in Decay, as you might have noticed. Well, we might recognize the scene in this photo. And I don't know why apparently the janitor of this building came into our apartment and took a photograph of our shelves. And apparently took the can of whatever that is, because I remember it's not there right now. When we were back in our apartment, that can was not there. We'll go back and I'll prove it. There was a place that we saw where we could potentially set a fire. However, our lighter is no good. We don't have any kind of combination, any kind of numbers that we might be able to use for that. We have a paper, tantalizingly called code, but we can't quite read it. Hold on, let's head back to our apartment so we can take a look at that shelf that does not have any kind of bottle. Oh, hey, someone else is here. We really have not had the opportunity to talk to many people. It's good, to talk to your neighbors, I think they went in here. It's good to be friendly with your neighbors, to get to know them, Don't want to be a stranger. No one around. I guess we could give the pain bathroom another try. No, it seems that whoever was here has, resolved their little problem. But there is something else that's a bit different. Someone left a piece of paper under the bathtub. It's just gonna get wet down there. It's gonna smear. Apparently something that will show us how to solve a certain type of simple code, though we have not seen any kind of lengthy sequence of letters in that way. But maybe we should just remember about that. Just in case. See, it's always good to just say hi to your neighbors when you have the chance. And it's good that they were able to just get out of the bathroom. You can't hide in the bathroom all day, hiding from your problems. You gotta get out in the world like we're doing. Walking around in the world of Decay, trying to figure things out. We did not stay in our bathroom, hiding from our problems. We're trying to get things done. Okay, here's our shelf. You can see there's nothing there. So hold on. I'll hold the photo up. It was there, apparently. You know, I don't want to bring out any outside references here, but I seem to remember another tale of supernatural horror that we experienced, where you could pull out objects from a photograph. Maybe we're not looking for neighbors or friends. Maybe what we're actually looking for is a boyfriend. No, that's probably not. That's probably not what's going on. I'm pretty sure of it. Oh, Lacey's doll is gone. Well, we do know that Lacey's doll does get around. Moves about trying to get us stuff, so maybe that's a good thing. Wow, Flame Plus? They got the good stuff. They splurged and didn't just go with Flame. Alright, let's... Nope. Well, I guess we could use the lighter fluid right here on the floor, but I don't think we're that far gone yet. Okay, we've used it in the lighter. Now, like I said before, there is a place we saw where we could probably set a fire safely. We don't want to burn the building down, at least not yet. Now that's just rude. We were using that. Well, maybe if we just wait around long enough, Barry will come back with another rope. While we're waiting for Barry, though, I suppose we can continue to look around. Let's head to that fireplace, now that we have this filled lighter. I still don't get how there's this fireplace in this apartment, but... I mean, someone stacked up wood all nice just to start a fire. We might as well complete what someone started. One piece of coal is good enough for us. Apparently Martin Wallace is not very interested in any of that other coal. Found a handle. Doesn't seem like there's anything that will fit into that we found anyway. None of this other stuff looks like it will. Well, we have some coal. Now, we're on Decay Part 3, so having been through 1 and 2, we're pretty good at solving puzzles at this point. I think we can figure out the thing we have to combine the coal with is the handle. No? Is the paper. Now, Well, we were right about 4 and 7, but that 1 was quite invisible. Fortunately, we know where a lock is, and it's right outside. Oh. Well, that wasn't there before. But while we're here, before we just get into that, let's open this up, since we have the code and all. A lengthy sequence of letters. Some kind of password? But we haven't gotten any password. That's a pretty secure code, to have that many letters. There's something hanging here. Well, we just now saw those symbols on the shelf. And those symbols equal letters, even though they equal numbers in Decay Part 2. And we have this note, a sequence of apparently unarranged letters can be arranged into a word. So perhaps we have everything we need to take a look at this. Well, first let's get everything down we can. Alright. So now we can compare those two. Right, the grid on the note. Fortunately, we have a rudimentary writing tool. I mean, it doesn't have a point or anything on it. Maybe we could sharpen it with the shard, but it should work as it is. Okay. Let's see. We want to write them down in rows of 4. At least according to the bathroom note we do. Whoops. You know, this really is much more my kind of puzzle, as opposed to the piano puzzle last time, which I was just hopeless at. Okay, so now we have them in the correct order, or at least if the Payne Bathroom's note is correct, this is supposed to be the order they're in. So all we can do now is compare it to our note as to which letter is which. Ah, some kind of Christmas message, apparently. It's a bit of a swerve, a bit more of a cheery message than I would have expected. No, that's not quite right. For Christmas, I want an Ouya. It's spelled Ouya, not Uma. That's not even a thing. Obviously, this code is not quite right. Right, so now we've translated the letters, or at least we think we've done it correctly. So if we read them as it's said on the note, that is to say, if we read it going in these vertical columns of 4, we end up with a truly horrifying message. Now you are our slave. My slave. Now you are my slave. Whose slave are we? Well, I don't know who wrote this message. It's not quite as cheery as I was expecting. It's a pretty secure password, though. I mean, we had to go into a couple different rooms to get the information that we needed to actually solve this. And a combination to a lock. So there must be something very valuable in here. Otherwise, why go to all that length? Well, maybe not quite the revelation we were hoping for. Perhaps we can combine it with our handle. We haven't found a use for that handle yet. No, we can't. Alright. Well, we've opened this up, which basically, it seems like this is what has been leading to all these items and notes that we've been finding, has been to open this up and get this blade. So this blade should probably be pretty useful for something. Alright, so now we finally know who we are. We're not Martin Wallace after all. We're in his body, but we're actually the son-in-law, Emily's husband, Jim, Lacey's father. Martin Wallace must have been pretty confident that this was going to work. If he killed himself so we could take his body over and enter Oswald White's world of death, which he created somehow. I wonder what the metaphor is here. Oh no, actually no metaphor at all. That was entirely literal. The hallway filled up with blood so much that we could actually float to the top. Well, now that we know that, we don't really have anywhere to go aside... Oh. Oswald White's door is open. However, these bars are still in our way. And there still does not seem to be any means of getting through. No door or winch to raise the bars. I guess let's head back into our own apartment. Or rather, Martin's apartment. Since, as it turns out, we don't live here at all. Oh, the doll's back. However, it looks like it's been pulled apart. Right, this is no good like this. Lisi uses this doll to get us stuff. So we're going to need to put that back together so she can continue to help us. Because we obviously can't figure this out on our own. You know, that looks entirely too big to be that doll's leg. Yet somehow it is. That doll's pretty small. So we now know that Martin Wallace's boss, Oswald White, is some sort of supernatural serial killer who has created Death World, where he reigns as God, apparently. I guess that's how this works. This looks a little different from previously. There was no one in this bed last time. Maybe it's our neighbor. One more trip into the pain bathroom gives us something else that we need. Our neighbor must be out. They're not here to say hi to us. The last piece is a little more trickily hidden, and that we've been in this room a few times, but previously there was nothing here, whereas now there is. I mean, I guess it makes sense to hide the piece in an empty box. I did have a little bit of trouble finding that, though, since everything else was empty every other time I was here. It swerved me. Alright. Really, whoever disassembled it probably just should have thrown the pieces into the blood hallway, because I don't think we're going back down there. This is a kind of an odd little thing. The way we reassemble the doll is that our two analog sticks move the piece, and we have to identify a direction on each stick that makes the piece go towards the doll, and move the sticks in those directions, whichever they are. They're different for each piece. So basically all it is the two analog sticks have to be in a certain position for the arm or the leg to meet the torso. Well, good. Lisi's doll is back. Apparently we have nothing to say about that, though. Now that we're done with that, we probably should get on with business. We still don't know how to get into Oswald White's apartment. Oh. That was fast. So now it might become clear what this tool is we've been collecting throughout the game. And perhaps now Oswald White's best attempt to keep us, being the nosy neighbor we are, keep us out, has failed. And if he thinks he's just going to challenge us to another game of tic-tac-toe, he's got another thing coming. Looks like the tic-tac-toe table was flipped over in anger by Oswald White after his crushing defeat to us last time. I'm sure that's what it was. The only thing we can interact with in the apartment now is this board. A maze appears on the board. We don't actually control the chalk. Rather, we control the arrows that appear, which determine the direction that the chalk goes in. And if we hit a dead end, Oswald White wins, I guess? I guess that's how this works. We have to be careful as we go through this maze. As you saw, we don't get an arrow at every intersection, depending on how we approach. Well, we don't want to go left because that whole thing just ends in a dead end. What we would want to do at this point is go down, but no, we cannot go down. It didn't give us an arrow at that intersection, and that can mess us up. So we're going to have to take the long way round. I guess that's Oswald White's attempting to trip us up. It's not going to work. After all, we're playing to try to free our wife and daughter from this murder world. And now we're home free. Really, Oswald White is not very good at games. And much like Decay Parts 1 and 2, Part 3 ends with us being immersed in black water. The word gate appears, and then nothing. Most likely in Decay Part 4 we will appear somewhere else entirely, though where, we cannot say. However, we did see Oswald White appear for a second at the end. He appeared most displeased that we were able to solve his maze. I don't know why he would be so surprised about that. It was kind of a simple maze. He seems very shocked that someone might be able to beat the master gamesman that is Oswald White. Not just a tic-tac-toe, but a chalkboard maze? Obviously, Jim is a man on a mission. But who can say what the final game will be? Because next time is Decay Part 4, the finale. And who can say how that will end? The extras this time round is it tells us that the ghost in the bathtub is Anne Soderlund. So Anne Soderlund was one of the people who worked in the office with Martin Wallace and Oswald White. So apparently the three people who worked at that company all lived in the same apartment building all next to each other. That seems like quite a coincidence. Maybe they got some kind of deal on it or something. I don't know. I kind of got the impression in Decay Part 2 that Anne had jumped off the roof, since that's where she left her little note on her keycard. But apparently no, I guess she killed herself in the bathroom. This part was made quite clear during the game. Right, so just recap and catch up on what exactly is going on. We're not Martin Wallace, but we are in his body. Kind of hope they mention a little bit on how he did that. But that's it for Decay Part 3. So, revelations, information and data given on what has been happening. Like I said, next time we're going into Decay Part 4, and we'll see how this story all ends up. if we'll be able to defeat Oswald White and destroy his murder world and rescue our wife and daughter, or if it is all for naught. Or maybe there are more twists, who can say? And who knows what child's game Oswald White will challenge us to in the end. I hope it's checkers. Thanks for coming by for this horror of XBLIG. I'll see you next week with the end of Decay. See you then.